Avery Caldwell had always believed silence could save a marriage. But on a cold Manhattan morning, inside a glass-walled conference room on Park Avenue, she learned silence only made it easier for someone like Marcus Ellington to destroy her. He didn't even sit down. He didn't look at her. He walked in, signed the divorce papers with a sharp scrape of his pen, and said, 3 years, contract fulfilled, we're done here. 17 seconds. That was all her marriage was worth. Avery stood frozen, one hand pressed against her coat, steadying the dull ache in her abdomen. She had prayed the pain would ease long enough to get through this meeting. But Marcus didn't notice. He was already slipping his phone into his pocket, checking his reflection in the glass, rehearsing the smile he'd use later for the cameras. He was announcing his engagement to Briar Klein tonight, New York's favorite PR darling. People would clap. Headlines would bloom. And Avery, the woman he'd used for prestige, would vanish like she never existed. When Marcus turned to leave, she whispered, "You froze my accounts. Why?" He didn't even pause. Consider it. Preventing complications. Then he walked out. The door clicked shut, soft and cruel. The room blurred. Avery gripped the table, fighting the wave of dizziness creeping up her spine. She hadn't told Marcus the truth or anyone. Not yet. The quintuplets growing inside her were too fragile, too easily threatened by stress, by fear, by another sleepless night. "Doctor." Rhodes's warning echoed in her ears. "You must stay calm. Any shock could put all 5 at risk." But how could she stay calm when she had just been erased? She stumbled into the elevator. The lights pulsed overhead, her vision narrowed. She pressed a trembling hand to her stomach as the pain sharpened. A man beside her asked if she was all right, but his voice sounded underwater. Avery tried to answer, but the world tilted. The elevator doors slid open. Cold marble rushed up to meet her knees. Someone shouted for help. Avery's last thought before darkness swallowed her was of 5 tiny heartbeats fighting to survive. And then she heard a voice she hadn't heard in months. "Call an ambulance now. It's Avery Caldwell." The moment she realized who had spoken, changed everything. When Avery opened her eyes, the first thing she noticed was the antiseptic scent of Mount Sinai's high-risk maternity wing. Soft beeps pulsed around her like distant metronomes. She blinked, trying to make sense of the ceiling tiles above her, the weight on her chest, the ache in her abdomen. For a moment, she didn't remember how she got here. Then the conference room. The signature. The floor rushing up. Marcus walking away. A warm hand touched her wrist. "Avery, you're safe. You fainted in the lobby." Dr. Amelia Rhodes leaned into view, her dark curls pulled back, her eyes steady and worried. Avery tried to sit up, but pain shot through her stomach like a ripping seam. Amelia gently pressed her shoulder down. "No sudden movements. Your blood pressure crashed." "And the babies?" They reacted. Avery's heart seized. "Are they?" "They're still fighting," Amelia said softly. 5 heartbeats, but the stress isn't helping. Not at all. Avery shut her eyes. 5. 5 tiny lives depending on her. 5 reasons she couldn't break, not now, not ever. And yet everything in her life seemed designed to push her past her limits. The divorce? The frozen accounts? The smear campaign? Her entire world teetered on the edge, held together only by her will to protect the little beings inside her. A knock sounded at the door. Mia Turner stepped in, still in her trench coat, worry carved into her expression. "Avery, I came as soon as I heard. A bystander called an ambulance. They said you collapsed." Avery swallowed. "My accounts." Marcus froze everything. "I didn't even know the ambulance would take me without insurance approval." Mia's jaw tightened. Freezing marital funds before a divorce is finalized is illegal. He knows that. He's pushing you into a corner, hoping you'll break. Avery forced a breath. "He wants me gone, Mia, completely erased." Mia exchanged a glance with Dr. Rhodes. "You need protection. Legal, medical, everything. And Avery, you need to tell me the truth. Does Marcus know about the babies?" Avery's voice cracked. "No, and he can't. If he knew, he'd use them to destroy me." Amelia nodded grimly. "Your condition is high risk. Avery, you must avoid stress. Any severe shock could trigger preterm labor. All 5 lives depend on you staying calm." Calm. A word completely incompatible with the life she was living. Mia sat beside her. "There's something else. A rumor popped up this morning. Someone leaked that you stole funds from your late mother's foundation. It's Briar. She's planting stories to bury you before Marcus announces the engagement tonight." Avery's chest tightened again. "She wants me humiliated before I even get back on my feet." "She wants you destroyed," Mia corrected. Avery turned toward the ultrasound monitor beside her bed, where faint images from earlier still flickered shapes so small, so fragile, yet fighting with more strength than she felt she had left. she whispered. I won't lose them. I won't let Marcus or Briar touch my children. You won't be alone in this, Amelia said firmly. You have us? But just as the room settled into a fragile quiet, a nurse hurried in with a clipboard. Her face was pale. Dr. Rhodes, you need to see this. Someone just tried to request Avery Caldwell's full medical records. They used executive-level hospital clearance. Avery felt the air leave her lungs. Mia stepped forward. Who would have access to that? The nurse hesitated. Only 2 people. Hospital administration, or someone with a corporate emergency override. Avery's pulse spiked as Amelia read the digital signature. It was authorized by Ellington Dynamics. And well, Avery realized Marcus had just discovered something he was never supposed to know. The next morning, Manhattan felt colder than usual, as if the entire city had turned its back on her. Avery sat propped up in the hospital bed, trying to hold herself together while Dr. Rhodes adjusted her IV. Outside the window, the skyline glimmered in its usual steel-blue arrogance, unaware that one woman inside Mount Sinai was fighting a war no one else could see. Mia entered with a stack of printed articles. Even before she spoke, Avery sensed the blow coming. You need to brace yourself, Mia warned. Briar didn't wait. She launched a full campaign against you overnight. Avery's stomach tightened. What did she say now? Mia handed her the top page. The headline screamed in unforgiving bold letters. Avery Caldwell under investigation for financial misconduct. A fabricated quote from an unnamed insider claimed Avery funneled funds from her late mother's foundation to support her luxurious secret lifestyle. Photos of Avery leaving the hospital months ago were edited to make her look disheveled, irresponsible, unstable. Avery's hands shook. She wants to destroy my mother's name. She's trying to bury you before Marcus announces the engagement tonight, Mia said. If the public believes you're corrupt, he looks like the hero who escaped a sinking ship. Another article showed side-by-side photos. Briar glowing on Marcus's arm at a charity preview event, and Avery entering a doctor's office, looking exhausted. The caption underneath read, "The new power couple versus the woman left behind." Avery closed her eyes, fighting tears she didn't have strength for. Every lie hit the world faster than she could breathe. And the world was ready hungry to believe the worst about her. As Mia continued flipping through the stack, Avery stopped listening. She could feel her heartbeat speeding up, pounding against her ribs. The babies responded with a flutter of pain, as if echoing her panic. Dr. Rhodes stepped in quickly. Avery, you need to slow your breathing. Stress is your enemy. 5 fetuses at this stage need stability. Deep breaths. Avery obeyed, but her voice cracked. She's painting me as a criminal. Marcus will use this to take everything I have left. He already has, Mia said quietly. We found evidence this morning. He approached the Caldwell board 2 months ago. He tried to convince them you were emotionally unfit to inherit your mother's company. Avery felt the world tilt again. Before the divorce? Before I even knew? Marcus plays the long game, Mia said. He thought if he secured control of the company, you'd have no safety net once he threw you out. Avery curled her fingers over the blanket. He wants me penniless, voiceless. He wants you gone, Mia corrected, completely erased. A chime sounded from Avery's phone, one of the few accounts Marcus hadn't shut down. A notification banner crawled across the screen. Ellington engagement celebration, tonight the Plaza Hotel. Her lips trembled. He's celebrating the end of me. No, Mia said firmly. Because you're still here. Everyone? Before Avery could respond, the hospital door swung open again. A security officer stepped inside with urgency. Miss Caldwell, we've increased your floor's security. Someone attempted to bribe a nurse for updates on your vital signs. Avery's pulse spiked. Who would do that? The officer hesitated. The request came from someone working under Briar Klein's PR firm. Avery's breath caught, the room narrowing around her. She wasn't just being smeared, she was being hunted. And then the officer added, they were specifically asking if you were stable enough to attend public events. Avery realized Briar wasn't just destroying her reputation, she was preparing a public trap. By late afternoon, storm clouds gathered over Manhattan, turning the skyline into a wall of gray iron. Avery sat upright in her hospital bed, wrapped in a blanket that felt too thin against the cold creeping through her bones. Dr. Rhodes examined the latest fetal scans, her brows pinched with worry. The babies are stable for now, she said. But you need a low-stress environment. No sudden shocks, no media frenzy, absolutely no travel unless it's necessary. Avery nodded, though her chest tightened. The world outside was sharpening its knives for her. Remaining hidden felt like the only way to protect the 5 fragile lives she carried. Mia Turner entered with her laptop tucked beneath her arm. Avery, we need to talk. It's about the board at Caldwell Biotech. Avery braced herself. What now? A leak. Mia pulled up a report. Someone fed the board information that you're mentally unstable, unable to lead, and possibly suffering from pregnancy-related delusions. Avery's jaw slackened. That's insane. It's deliberate, Mia said. Marcus is tightening his grip. He doesn't want you stepping into your mother's legacy. Dr. Rhodes crossed her arms. You're not delusional. You're high-risk pregnant. Mia sighed. To a corporate board, those can be twisted into the same thing. The weight was crushing. Avery closed her eyes, imagining her mother's office, the soft lamp she used during late-night research, the handwritten notes about biotech innovation her whole life dedicated to compassion and science. Avery used to sit beside her as a child, promising she'd take care of the company one day. Now, that legacy was under attack. An alarm beeped on the monitor. Avery stiffened. It's just a spike, Dr. Rhodes assured gently. Deep breaths. But the walls felt like they were closing in. Between the media, Marcus, Breyer, and the board turning hostile, Avery was losing every battlefield at once. She needed escape, quiet, distance, safety. Maybe Dr. Rhodes sensed the thought forming, because she said, if you stay here in Manhattan, they will keep coming. They will try to breach hospital security again. You need somewhere private, somewhere safe. End quote. Mia snapped her fingers. My cousin has a cabin 2 hours north, near Cold Spring. Secure, isolated, no reporters. Can I travel? Avery asked. With medical escort, yes, Dr. Rhodes replied, but the movement must be minimal, stress-free. Think of it as protecting a small army inside your womb. Avery let out a shaky laugh, the first sound of hope she'd made in days. Mia hurried out to arrange transport. Dr. Rhodes stepped closer. Avery, listen to me. These babies need you alive. Not fighting every second. I know, Avery whispered. As twilight settled, the hospital room dimmed. Avery looked at the city below, cars, weaving like veins of light, people rushing, life moving without her. Leaving Manhattan felt like disappearing. But disappearing might be the only way to survive. A nurse delivered a sealed envelope. Someone dropped this off for you at the front desk. No name. Avery, confused, opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with one sentence typed neatly. You won't make it to Cold Spring. Turn back. Her breath hitched. Who sent this? Dr. Rhodes grabbed the paper, her face hardening. We need security now. Just then, Mia rushed back into the room, pale from the cold evening air. Avery, the transport van we booked was tampered with. Someone cut the brake line. Avery's pulse surged as dread washed over her. Whoever wanted her gone wasn't trying to ruin her reputation anymore. They were trying to stop her from surviving the night. Night settled over Manhattan like a heavy curtain, the sky bruised purple and navy, as if mirroring Avery's body, fragile, strained, but still fighting. After the sabotage of the transport van, hospital security insisted she remain in a private suite on a restricted floor. Mia and Dr. Rhodes stayed with her long past their shifts, unwilling to leave her alone. Inside the dim room, Avery lay on her side as the fetal monitor beeped steadily. Dr. Rhodes applied the ultrasound wand, her expression tight with concentration. Avery's breath caught until she saw it. The small flutter of a heartbeat, then another. And another. 5 tiny beats. 5 fragile fighters. They're holding on, Dr. Rhodes murmured. But Avery, their survival is tied to your stability. Every shock tightens their world. Avery's throat tightened. Someone wants me dead, Amelia. Not just exposed dead. How am I supposed to stay calm? You don't have to feel calm, Amelia said softly. You only have to choose to protect them. That's what motherhood is, isn't it? Loving someone more than your own fear. Avery stared at the blurry shapes on the screen, each one no bigger than a curled fist. She whispered, They're all I have left of my mother, of myself. Dr. Rhodes squeezed her hand. Then fight for them, but fight smart. Thanks for watching. As Amelia left to speak with security, Mia pulled up a chair. Her laptop glowed between them, open to a private digital folder she'd been assembling since the morning. Avery, we need to talk strategy, Mia said, keeping her voice low. Marcus and Breyer are escalating. Sabotaging the van means someone is willing to cross legal lines. That's not a PR war anymore, that's attempted harm. Avery shivered. Who would do that for them? Power attracts the desperate, Mia replied. And Marcus built his company on people who owe him favors. But listen, you're not powerless. We have a lead. She clicked on a document. It showed a list of internal emails from Ellington Dynamics. Several usernames were blacked out, but one remained unhidden. R. Halden, a mid-level operative known for doing quiet, cleanup work. He's the one who authorized the request for your medical records, Mia said. He's working under Marcus, but he was seen in the hospital lobby earlier today. Security caught him trying to blend in. Avery's breath stilled. So Marcus knows I'm pregnant. Not yet, Mia said. The records weren't released. But he suspects something. He knows you're not acting like someone who has nothing left. Avery looked toward the window. The city lights shimmered, indifferent. She remembered the envelope, the typed threat, the tampered transport. She remembered Marcus's cold voice when he said, "Preventing complications." Complications. Meaning her. Meaning the babies. "He'll do anything to erase me," Avery whispered. Mia leaned closer. "Then you need protection. Real protection. There's someone who can help Jonas Mercer." Avery blinked. "Jonas? My mother's former COO? He's been tracking board activity. And Avery, he suspects foul play. He reached out tonight. He wants to meet you." Avery shook her head. "I can't leave the hospital." "You won't. He'll come to you." A knock sounded at the door. Mia stiffened. That was fast. "It's Nah." The door opened slowly, not hospital staff, not security. A tall figure stepped inside, rain dripping from his coat, eyes sharp with urgency. Avery's breath hitched. It was Jonas Mercer. He looked directly at Avery and said, "I know what Marcus is trying to do, and we don't have much time." Jonas's next words would change everything if Avery survived long enough to hear them. For a moment, the hospital room felt too small for the man standing in its doorway. Jonas Mercer had always carried a quiet gravity, broad shoulders, a calm face shaped by years in boardrooms where empires rose and fell in a single vote. But tonight, there was urgency in his eyes, something sharp enough to slice through Avery's fog of exhaustion. Mia stepped protectively between them. "Jonas, how did you get past security?" "I showed them the documents," he said, holding up a sealed folder. "I came because Avery's life is in danger." Avery's breath caught. Jonas moved closer, lowering his voice. "I've been doing my own digging. Marcus has been orchestrating a silent takeover of Caldwell Biotech for nearly a year. He knew your mother was dying long before you did. He positioned Breyer inside our PR circuits. He planted stories about you being unfit." Avery felt her chest tighten. "Why? Why go that far?" "Because Caldwell Biotech's new patent, your mother's final project, will triple the company's value. Marcus wants it under Ellington Dynamics before the patent hits the market." Mia swore softly. "So the smear campaign wasn't personal, it was strategic." Jonas nodded. "Marcus couldn't control your mother, so he targeted the next in line. You." Avery's voice cracked. "And now, the babies." Jonas exhaled, the weight of the truth darkening his expression. "If the public believes you're unstable or negligent, the board can declare you unfit. Marcus could influence them to take temporary control. If something happened to you now, if your condition worsened." The unspoken end of the sentence hung heavy. Marcus would inherit everything through legal loopholes tied to Avery's assets. Avery trembled. "So he's not just ruining me, he's waiting for me to collapse." "Or pushing you there," Mia added. Jonas placed the folder on her bedside table. Inside is proof of Marcus's financial manipulation, off-book transactions, and conversations between him and Breyer planning to leak false reports about you. "But we need more. We need something irrefutable, something that ties intent to harm." Avery looked toward the window, where rain streaked down in long, trembling lines. The city felt distant, muffled, as if watching the moment from behind thick glass. "I can't fight him," she whispered. "Not like this, not from a hospital bed. Darius 4. Jonas leaned forward, his voice softening. "You're stronger than you think, and you're not alone. Your mother trusted me for a reason. She believed in you. I believe in you." Avery swallowed hard. She wasn't used to someone speaking to her with that kind of steady conviction, not in years, not since her mother passed. The fetal monitor beeped sharply, and Dr. Rhodes rushed back in. "Avery, your stress levels are rising. Whatever conversation this is, can't continue unless..." But she froze when she saw Jonas. "Are you the one who called earlier?" Dr. Rhodes asked. Avery blinked. "Called?" Jonas straightened. "Yes, I alerted hospital security when I learned Marcus's team accessed your medical records. I hoped they acted quickly." Avery felt a strange mixture of gratitude and fear. Jonas had been watching over her even before he stepped inside the room. Before she could speak, her phone buzzed. The screen lit up with an unsaved number. Mia grabbed it before Avery could. Her face drained of color. "Avery, it's a live video feed." She turned the screen toward Avery. The footage showed a man in a dark suit walking confidently through the hospital lobby, past security, past reception, stepping into an elevator. Marcus. He was in the building. And the text overlay across the video read, "Coming to claim what's mine." Avery realized Marcus wasn't waiting for her to collapse. He was on his way to finish what he started. The silence in the hospital room thickened as the elevator numbers on Mia's phone ticked upward floor by floor, closer to Avery. Marcus's arrival wasn't a surprise. What terrified her was his timing. He never came without a plan. And a man like Marcus Ellington didn't climb 22 floors of a high-security maternity wing to talk. Avery's pulse hammered in her neck. He can't be here. Amelia, you said I needed calm. We're not letting him near you, Dr. Rhodes snapped. I'll have security escort him out. But Jonas spoke quietly. No, he came prepared. If we block him, he'll twist it into a legal argument that we're denying him access to his wife or blocking due process. He'll weaponize the situation. Wife? Avery whispered. He signed the divorce. Jonas nodded grimly. But he didn't file the final notarization. He stalled it on purpose. Avery's stomach dropped. So legally, he can claim spousal concern, Mia finished. It won't hold forever, but long enough for him to cause chaos. The elevator dinged somewhere down the hall. Avery felt her throat close. Why is he doing this now? Jonas stepped closer, lowering his voice. Because the Caldwell board is voting tomorrow morning. If you're deemed mentally unfit or medically unstable, Marcus's proxy motion passes. He gains temporary oversight of the company until you're recovered. And, Mia added, and with your pregnancy high risk and hidden, you'd have no way to fight back. Avery swallowed hard. He wants to replace me before the patent launch. He wants everything, Jonas said. Your mother's work, your name, your silence. Footsteps echoed down the hallway, measured, familiar, controlled. Marcus's footsteps. Dr. Rhodes moved to Avery's side. Your heart rate is spiking. Lie back, slow breaths. But Avery couldn't lie down. Not now. Not when everything was collapsing again. The door handle turned. Jonas reached it first, blocking the entrance with his body. Marcus froze on the threshold, eyes narrowing at the sight of Jonas. His voice dripped with arrogance. I'm here to see my wife. Avery drew a breath. Ex-wife. Not legally, Marcus said smoothly, but we can fix that later. Jonas didn't move. She's under medical restriction. You need to leave. Marcus smirked. You think you can stop me? You're a glorified relic of her mother's charity. I'm the man who kept Avery alive these last 3 years. Avery stood despite Dr. Rhodes's warning hand. Alive? You erased me. You lied to the board. You froze my accounts. And now you're here to finish what you started. Marcus's mask cracked. Just for a moment. Then he stepped closer, voice cold as steel. I know you're hiding something worth a fortune. And you're going to tell me what it is. If we estavtude. A shiver ran up Avery's spine. He didn't know about the quintuplets yet, but he was circling dangerously close. Mia slipped her hand behind her back, hitting the panic button clipped at her waist. She whispered, Security's coming. Marcus caught the movement. Always the clever assistant, he sneered. But you're too late. Avery and I have unfinished business. He pushed at the door again, but Jonas didn't budge. Touch the door one more time, Jonas warned quietly, and you'll understand exactly how finished you are. Marcus's eyes flicked between them, Avery pale but standing, Jonas blocking him, Mia recording discreetly, Amelia watching with fury. Then Marcus smiled. A slow, dangerous smile. I don't need to force my way in, he said. Because tomorrow morning, Avery won't have a company, credibility, or a legal voice. And when that happens, she'll come crawling back. Avery's breath caught. Marcus leaned closer, whispering just loud enough for them all to hear. Unless she tells me the secret she's carrying. The moment the door closed behind Marcus, Jonas turned to Avery, his face strained, and said, He knows you're pregnant. Avery sank back onto the hospital pillows as Jonas's words echoed in the room like a bell tolling the start of war. He knows you're pregnant. She wrapped her arms around herself instinctively, shielding the 5 tiny lives that had already suffered too much. Her heart hammered painfully, but Amelia reached for her wrist, checking her pulse. Breathe, Avery, Dr. Rhodes murmured. Slow. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Avery obeyed, though her chest felt like a cage of fire. Knowing Marcus, he didn't need full proof, just suspicion. Just enough to turn her pregnancy into a weapon. Enough to build a case that she was hiding, evidence of instability. Enough to pressure the board, enough to trap her. Mia paced the room, typing rapidly on her laptop. We need to get ahead of this. If Marcus knows she's pregnant, he'll manipulate the narrative. He'll leak that Avery's mental state is compromised due to hormonal imbalance, that she's carrying phantom pregnancies. He'll twist anything. Avery shut her eyes. He'll claim I lied for sympathy. Great. And the babies? Amelia added gently. He'll use them as leverage. Jonas sat at the edge of her bed, his expression steady but heavy. Listen to me, Avery. There's a way to fight back, but it has to be quiet. You can't go public yet. The stress alone. His gaze flicked to the heart monitor. Could put all 5 lives at risk. Avery nodded, swallowing the knot in her throat. Then, what do I do? You build a foundation. Jonas said. Silently, carefully. We'll protect the babies, and at the same time, we'll prepare your comeback. Comeback? Avery whispered. Mia spun her laptop toward Avery. The Caldwell board will consider you vulnerable, but that vulnerability can become strength if you have allies inside. Jonas still holds influence with several senior members, and your mother's research team adored you. If they back you, Marcus's proxy motion collapses. Avery looked at Jonas. Would they stand with me? Jonas gave a small, soft smile. Your mother trusted you more than anyone. Her team remembers that. For the first time in days, warmth spread through Avery's chest instead of fear. Amelia tapped the ultrasound screen. But to survive, your body needs rest, peace. Your babies need quiet. You cannot face Marcus directly until you're physically stable. Avery nodded, wiping a trembling tear. So, I disappear for now. I'll protect them in silence. It's never us, Mia added. And when the time comes, we'll unleash everything. Every lie, every recording, every forged document. Jonas reached into his coat and pulled out a leather-bound notebook, old, worn, familiar. Avery inhaled sharply. My mother's? She whispered. Jonas nodded. I kept it safe after she passed. She wanted you to have it when you were ready. Inside are notes on the new patent, your inheritance, Avery. Her fingers brushed the cover, and something inside her steadied. A reminder that she wasn't just fighting to survive. She was fighting for legacy, for family. For 5 tiny heartbeats. A sudden alert flashed across Mia's screen. She froze. Avery. You need to see this. She turned the laptop. A video clip was going viral, Marcus standing outside the plaza, reporters swarming him. She's unstable, Marcus declared. I'm deeply worried for Avery's mental condition. Then he added, and I believe she may be pregnant with another man's child. I guessed. Avery felt the world tilt as the monitor beside her began to beat faster. Amelia rushed forward. Avery, breathe, stay with me. But Avery's eyes filled with tears of betrayal, not because Marcus exposed her, but because she realized the world now believed she was carrying a stranger's child, and Marcus would stop at nothing to claim them. The hospital room felt smaller after Marcus's public accusation. As the clip replayed across every news station, Avery watched her reputation already hanging by a thread splinter into dust. Reporters camped outside Mount Sinai, paparazzi camped across the street. The world wasn't just talking about her, they were dissecting her, judging her, inventing stories faster than she could breathe. It was exactly what Marcus wanted. Dr. Rhodes dimmed the lights and adjusted Avery's monitors, trying to calm her vitals. Deep breaths, Avery. The stress is affecting the babies. Avery pressed a hand to her stomach. I can't let him take them, Amelia. You won't, Dr. Rhodes said. But you need help, real power behind you. As if summoned by the word, Jonas returned with an envelope in his hand. He seemed even more serious than before. I just came from a closed-door meeting, Jonas said. Caldwell Biotech's board is splitting. Some members want to postpone tomorrow's vote because of Marcus's comments. Others want to strip your authority immediately. Avery's breath caught. They think his accusation is credible? They think the chaos is risky for the company, Jonas answered carefully. Biotech investors hate instability, and Marcus is pretending to be the concerned ex-husband, trying to protect the company from your emotional crisis. Avery clenched her jaw. He's using my pregnancy, something he doesn't even know the truth about, to destroy me. Jonas stepped closer. Which is why I'm here with an offer. He placed the envelope in her hands. It contained a proposal stamped with Caldwell Biotech's letterhead. Avery skimmed it, and her eyebrows lifted. A strategic investment partnership with Ellington Dynamics? Why would we consider this? Jonas exhaled. Because it's the last thing Marcus expects. He thinks you're hiding, cornered, scared. But if you authorize this proposal, not sign it, just authorize the review, you gain ground. The board will see you as a rational leader making decisions under pressure. It destroys Marcus's narrative that you're spiraling. Mia leaned forward. It could force the board to delay the vote. If Avery seems cooperative, they can't call her unstable. Avery frowned. But partnering with Marcus's company, isn't that giving him leverage? No, Jonas answered, because Winslow Bank, the one managing Caldwell's trust, would oversee the audit. If Marcus agrees, he'll be forced into transparency. If he refuses, he looks guilty. Either way, you win political ground. Avery stared at the proposal. A strategic investment review wasn't a commitment. It was a chess move, a powerful one. Something her mother would have done. It buys us time, Jonas said softly. Time to gather evidence. Time for you to stabilize. Time to protect the babies. Avery felt the faintest flicker of strength. So instead of running, I step onto the boardroom floor. Mia nodded. You stop being the victim. You become the strategist. Avery took a deep breath. Then I'll authorize it. But her hand shook as she reached for the pen. Jonas gently placed his hand over hers to steady it. You don't have to do this alone. A warmth spread through her chest, not romantic, not yet, but grounding. Safe. She needed that feeling more than she could admit. She signed her name. Mia snapped a picture for time-stamped proof. I'll deliver it to the board. They won't dare vote while a major negotiation is active. Avery exhaled shakily. For the first time in days, she felt like she'd reclaimed an inch of her life. Then her phone buzzed an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A distorted voice whispered, "You shouldn't have authorized that." Avery froze. "Who is this?" A breathy chuckle. "Check the live news." Mia grabbed the remote. The TV flickered on. A breaking headline filled the screen. Marcus Ellington rushed to meet Winslow. Investors claims Avery is hiding 5 life secret. Avery's blood turned to ice. Someone had leaked the one thing that could destroy her. The number of babies. The storm outside broke just as the news headline flashed across the hospital television. Thunder cracked against the skyline, shaking the window glass. Avery felt the sound in her bones. 5 life secret. The words burned themselves into her mind. Someone had leaked the truth or enough of it to lead Marcus directly to the babies. Dr. Rhodes immediately stepped forward. "Avery, lie back, your heart rate is spiking." But Avery couldn't. She pushed herself upright, bracing one hand against the mattress. He knows. He knows it's not 1 baby. He knows it's more. If he finds out it's 5. He won't, Mia said firmly. We'll get ahead of the narrative. We'll. A knock cut through her words, crisp and authoritative. 2 hospital security officers entered. "Miss Caldwell," one of them said, "you're being moved to an undisclosed room. We've received credible threats." Avery stared. "From who?" Jonas's jaw flexed. "The same people who tampered with the van. Marcus's inner circle wants access to your medical records. They're becoming desperate." Avery looked between them, fear coiling tight inside her ribs. If they get those records, if Marcus finds out they're his children, he'll claim ownership. He'll drag them into court before they're even born. Jonas stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I won't let that happen." Something in his tone made Avery believe him. Within an hour, Avery was discreetly transferred through a staff-only corridor to a secured maternity suite. Hospital staff had cleared out the entire wing. Armed officers stood by the elevator. For the first time, Avery realized how serious this had become, not just a scandal, but a siege. While Dr. Rhodes set up the new monitors, Mia returned from a call, looking grim. "Avery, in response to your authorized investment review, Marcus arranged an emergency meeting with Winslow investors tonight at the Plaza Hotel." Avery blinked. "Tonight? But that's..." "His engagement celebration," Mia finished. "He's folding the narrative into the party. He'll go on stage, cry about being a heartbroken man, abandoned by an unstable ex-wife. Claim you're hiding some dangerous secret, and try to build public sympathy." Jonas added, "If he frames himself as the victim before the board vote, you'll lose your seat tomorrow morning." Avery pressed a trembling hand to her forehead. "He's turning the city against me." "No," Jonas said. "He's turning the city against the version of you he created. But if you want to take back your life, you need to shatter that illusion." Avery looked up slowly. "What are you saying?" Jonas held her gaze. "You should appear at the plaza." Mia choked. "Absolutely not. Avery can't handle that crowd. The stress alone." "She wouldn't go alone," Jonas said. "And she wouldn't stay long. She'd appear once public, poised, unbroken. Just enough to counter Marcus's lies and force the board to delay the vote. To show she is not hiding. That she is still the rightful leader." Avery's pulse thudded against the monitor. The thought of flashing cameras, whispered insults, the weight of eyes, she felt sick. But then she imagined her mother's notebook, the 5 heartbeats, her legacy being stolen by a man who never loved her. "I can't let him win," she whispered. Jonas nodded once. "Then, let's prepare you." Mia pinched the bridge of her nose. "This is insane." "No," Avery said softly, "this is survival." "Because the..." Amelia stepped between them. "If she goes, I go. I'll monitor her vitals every second." But Avery, one wrong shock, one surge of adrenaline. Avery looked at the ceiling, drawing in a steady breath. "They've taken my name, my money, my dignity. They will not take my children." Mia finally exhaled. "Then we go to the plaza." A sudden alert chimed on Jonas's phone. He checked it, and his face went cold. "Avery," he said quietly, "someone from Ellington Dynamics just reserved your mother's private boardroom suite at the plaza." Avery froze. It was the room her mother used for every major deal, meaning Marcus planned to rewrite history in the very place her legacy began. The plaza's golden lights reflected off the rain-soaked pavement as Avery arrived through a hidden employee entrance, escorted by security and Dr. Rhodes. She wore no gown, no jewelry, just a simple black dress that hugged her swollen stomach more than she wished. But Jonas insisted the simplicity was power. "You're not here to impress," he'd said. "You're here to reclaim your truth." Inside, the hotel pulsed with laughter, clinking glasses, camera flashes. The atmosphere glowed with curated glamour, everything Marcus loved. He thrived in spaces where perception mattered more than reality. And tonight, perception was his weapon. Mia guided Avery through a side hallway toward the ballroom doors. "Remember, you speak only if necessary. You're here to be seen calm, lucid, grounded. That alone destroys his narrative." Avery nodded, trembling. Amelia adjusted a portable monitor, clipped discreetly beneath Avery's coat. "If your heart rate spikes, we leave immediately." Avery inhaled deeply. "I'm ready." 8. The ballroom unfolded before her as the doors opened a sea of wealthy donors, board members, journalists, all illuminated by crystalline chandeliers. And there, at the center of the room, was Marcus. He looked perfectly curated in a charcoal suit, briars shimmering beside him in gold. Cameras circled them like adoring satellites. Then someone noticed Avery. A whisper rippled through the crowd. Heads turned. Brows lifted. Phones rose. Marcus's smile faltered. Avery didn't flinch. She stepped inside, chin lifted, posture steady. Jonas shadowed her closely, Mia behind them, Dr. Rhodes monitoring her vitals. She wasn't alone, not anymore. Marcus recovered quickly, molding his expression into something soft and pitying. He took a step toward her, loud enough for surrounding cameras to catch. "Avery, you're here. I've been so worried." Avery forced a breath. "No, you've been loud." The surrounding guests gasped softly. Marcus's eyes flashed, but he kept the mask intact. "You shouldn't be out like this. It's not good for your condition." Avery froze. He was baiting her, waiting for her to slip, to expose the pregnancy herself. She said nothing. Marcus raised his voice theatrically. "Everyone, please give my ex-wife space. She's been under tremendous emotional strain. We want her to get the help she needs." There it was, the humiliation, crafted and served on a gilded platter. Briar touched Marcus's arm. "She shouldn't be here. It's unsafe for everyone." Heads to 4. Avery's fingers curled into fists. The monitor under her coat beeped softly, warning. Mia stepped forward. "Avery is stable, competent, and legally protected. Maybe you two should stop implying otherwise." Marcus laughed, forced and cold. "Mia, you've always been loyal, I'll give you that. But Avery needs professional support, not lawyers who enable her delusions." Avery's stomach clenched. The babies tightened inside her. Amelia whispered urgently. "Slow breaths. Don't let him control your pace." But Marcus kept going, turning the crowd into his stage. "She's hiding something," he declared. "Something dangerous, something that puts her and others at risk. I know the truth will come out." Cameras flashed, guests murmured. Avery's vision wavered. Then Jonas stepped in front of her like a shield. His voice cut through the murmurs. "You're not exposing the truth, Marcus. You're manufacturing it." Marcus sneered. "And who are you, her babysitter?" "No," Jonas said calmly. "I'm the man who knows exactly what you did to her. And I have proof." A hush fell across the ballroom. Marcus's jaw tightened. "You're bluffing." Jonas reached into his coat. Avery felt the air change, the tension thickening, the entire ballroom waiting. Jonas pulled out a flash drive. "Tonight," he said, "your lies end. It's Min." Marcus smiled slowly, because someone else in the room was already moving to stop Jonas before the truth reached the light. For a heartbeat, the ballroom froze. Jonas stood firm, flash drive in hand, positioned like a man about to detonate truth in the middle of a golden battlefield. But Avery sensed danger before she saw it, an instinct sharpened by weeks of betrayal, fear, and survival. Something was wrong. The crowd wasn't just watching. They were shifting, whispering, angling their bodies as if anticipating impact. Then she saw him. Halden. The Ellington operative Mia had identified the man who attempted to access her medical files. He blended into the sea of suits near the champagne tower, but his gaze was locked onto Jonas. Calculating. Ready. Avery opened her mouth to warn Jonas, but Marcus moved faster. He raised his voice, perfectly timed. "See how desperate she is? Avery's puppets are fabricating evidence to frame me." Gasps spread like wildfire. Attention snapped away from Halden, exactly what he needed. He moved. Jonas barely registered the blur before a heavy shoulder slammed into him. The flash drive skidded across the polished floor, disappearing beneath a table. Guests screamed. Glass shattered as someone knocked into a server carrying flutes of champagne. Panic rippled through the air. Avery's pulse skyrocketed. Amelia caught her arm. "Sit down now. Your vitals." But Avery tore free. Jonas. He hit the floor hard, breath punched from his lungs. Halden bent as if to help him up, his hand already reaching toward Jonas's coat toward the inside pocket, where Avery knew he kept the physical backup. "Stop!" Avery cried, stumbling forward. Marcus seized his moment. He spread his arms, voice booming theatrically. "Everyone, please, Avery isn't well. She shouldn't be here. Look, she's in distress." In 24s. A wave of murmurs followed. Cameras pivoted toward her trembling frame. Paparazzi snapped frantically, eating up her struggle like vultures circling wounded prey. She forced a breath. "He's trying to steal evidence. Jonas has documents proving Marcus manipulated." But Marcus cut her off with a sharp, rehearsed sigh. "She believes everyone is out to get her. This is exactly why I'm concerned for her mental stability." Her skin burned with humiliation. Her heart hammered dangerously fast. Her babies fluttered in protest. Dr. Rhodes moved to steady her. "Calm down, Avery. You're going into early contractions, listen to me." But Avery barely heard her. Halden had retrieved the notebook from Jonas's coat, the leather-bound one Jonas had brought her. Her mother's notebook, the notebook that held research no one else had. Proof of her mother's final patent work. "No," Avery whispered, panic slicing through her. "Not that, not my mother's notebook." End quote. Halden passed the notebook to Marcus with a subtle nod. Jonas, still trying to rise, rasped, "Avery, don't let him." But Marcus held the leather-bound book with a triumphant flourish. "What do we have here? Something Avery's been hiding? Something worth stealing from my event?" "That's mine." Avery's voice cracked. "It's my mother's, give it back." "I do, Kay." Ignoring her, Marcus opened the cover, flipping through worn pages filled with equations, formulas, diagrams, personal notes written in her mother's delicate handwriting. The crowd watched, entranced. Marcus's smile widened. "Interesting. Very interesting." Jonas forced himself upright. "Marcus, put the notebook down." "Oh, I will," Marcus smirked. "After I review every single page. After all, Avery's judgment is clearly compromised." Avery couldn't breathe. Her vision blurred. She felt her knees start to buckle. The ballroom's murmurs grew sharper, louder, crueler. Dizzy, she stumbled backward, and the fetal monitor clipped beneath her dress began to beep wildly. Amelia lunged toward her. "Avery, sit now." But it was too late. A stabbing pain ripped through her abdomen, dropping her to her knees as guests gasped and stepped back. Her water hadn't broken, but early labor had begun. And Marcus, holding her mother's notebook, looked down at her with a cold, victorious calm. Avery felt the world tilt as she realized her babies were coming too soon. And Marcus now possessed the one thing that could destroy her legacy forever. The moment Avery collapsed, chaos swallowed the ballroom. Guests scattered, security rushed forward, and Jonas shoved Halden aside before dropping to Avery's side. "Doctor." Rhodes barked urgent commands while clutching Avery's hand, trying to stabilize her breathing. The fetal monitor pulsed in frantic, uneven spikes. "Avery, stay with me," Amelia urged. "Slow breaths. You're in early labor, we have minutes, not hours." Avery clung to consciousness, vision blurring in and out. All she could see was Marcus holding her mother's notebook like a trophy he'd finally won. His lips curved in a smug line, unfazed by the panic around them. Jonas rounded on him. "Give me the notebook. Now." Marcus laughed. "Or what? You'll lecture me in front of these people about compassion?" Before Jonas could respond, Amelia snapped. "Both of you, move. She needs immediate transport. Someone call ahead to Mount Sinai." Mia already had her phone to her ear. "Ambulance on the way, route cleared." But Avery's trembling hand shot upward, gripping Jonas's sleeve. Her voice was a broken whisper. "The board. The vote. You have to stop him." Jonas leaned close. "Avery, your children come first. The vote can wait." "No," she gasped. "He'll take everything. My mother's research, the company. He'll rewrite it all in his name." Mia knelt beside her. "We'll fix it. Jonas has the flash drive." Jonas hesitated. "The flash drive slid under a table. I haven't retrieved it yet." Avery felt something inside her twist violently. Fear, pain, helplessness. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Not while Marcus maneuvered so close to victory. Security lifted her onto a stretcher, voices blurring into a single rushing sound. As they wheeled her toward the exit, a hand clutched the railing Jonas's. "I'll stop the board vote," he promised. "I swear it." But Avery shook her head weakly. "You need more than promises." Then she turned to Mia, fighting to speak through the contractions. "The audit? Start the audit." Mia froze. "Avery, that would trigger a full-scale financial investigation of Ellington Dynamics. It's nuclear." "I have made her." "Exactly," Avery whispered. If Marcus wants a partnership review, then Caldwell Biotech demands transparency. Every ledger, every off-book payment, every falsified report, force him into light. Jonas's eyes widened. Avery, an audit of that size could expose his entire operation. It could dismantle Ellington. And protect my legacy, Avery breathed. Her voice cracked as another contraction tore through her. Dr. Rhodes pressed a hand to her shoulder. No more talking. You need to conserve your strength. But Avery wasn't done. Mia, send the authorization. Trigger the audit. Tonight. Mia hesitated only a second before nodding. I'll do it. As Avery was rushed out of the ballroom, reporters swarmed the doorway, shouting questions. Security formed a wall, blocking cameras, blocking flashes that felt like knives. Jonas followed until paramedics pushed him back. Inside the ambulance, Avery clutched Dr. Rhodes's hand. Pain radiated through her abdomen, sharp and rhythmic too soon, far too soon. She felt tears slip down her cheeks. Avery, Amelia whispered, you are not losing them. I won't let that happen. Avery stared at the ceiling, focusing on Amelia's voice, forcing herself to breathe despite the agony. Then her phone buzzed in Mia's hand. Mia read the message aloud as the ambulance raced through Manhattan. Audit initiated. Ellington Dynamics, financials flagged, immediate response required. End quote. Avery closed her eyes. She had struck first. But then Mia's face drained of color at the second notification. Avery, someone just accessed the restricted wing at the hospital. Someone using Marcus's clearance codes. Avery's breath caught. He wasn't waiting for the babies to be born, he was heading there now. The ambulance siren wailed through the Manhattan night, slicing between yellow cabs and late-night traffic. Avery clung to the stretcher rails as another contraction surged, sharper than the last. Dr. Rhodes hovered over her, voice steady, hands expert, but Avery could see the worry beneath her calm. Hold on, Avery. You're doing everything right. Just breathe with me. In and out. Avery tried. But every breath felt like shards of glass scraping her lungs. Her body wasn't ready. The babies weren't ready. They needed time she no longer had. Mia pressed a phone to her ear, shouting over the sirens. Security confirmed it. Someone using Marcus's credentials entered the restricted wing 20 minutes ago. They ordered files pulled for family medical necessity. They're after proof of the pregnancy. Avery's stomach twisted. If he gets the files, if he gets DNA samples, he won't, Mia vowed. We've already locked the system, but Avery, he knows enough to blackmail the board. Your position isn't safe. If you were S. Jonas's voice crackled through the ambulance radio, patched in by emergency personnel. Avery, listen carefully. We found something big. I'm sending a photo now. Mia's phone buzzed. She opened the image. Her eyes widened. Avery, oh my God, what is it? Avery gasped through another contraction. It's your marriage contract. Mia swallowed hard. There's a hidden amendment, an addendum Marcus never told you about. Avery felt the air leave her lungs. He changed something? Yes, Mia said. 2 months after the wedding, Marcus inserted a clause stating that if you were ever declared medically incompetent or emotionally unstable, all marital and collaborative assets, including pending intellectual property, transferred to his temporary guardianship. Avery's voice trembled. Guardianship? Of me? And any unborn children, Mia whispered. A cold wave of terror spread through Avery's body. Doctor. Rhodes spoke sharply. Avery, don't panic, your vitals. But Avery couldn't stop the rising dread. He planned this. From the beginning. Mia nodded slowly. The moment your mother got sick, he started preparing. He knew you'd inherit Caldwell Biotech. He knew the patent would be worth billions. He positioned himself so that if you ever weakened, if you ever faltered, he could seize everything. Avery stared at the ambulance ceiling as tears slid down her temples. He was never trying to win me back. He was trying to break me. Another contraction ripped through her, making her gasp. Amelia adjusted her monitors. Her cervix is dilating too fast. We're minutes from full labor. No, Avery choked out. I can't. Not like this. Not with him going after my babies. Not with him rewriting my legacy. Mia leaned close, gripping her hand. Avery, listen to me. The audit you triggered, Marcus can't stop it. The financial discrepancies we're uncovering are catastrophic. He can't claim guardianship if he's under federal investigation. Avery blinked slowly, focusing on Mia's voice. You turned his trap into his downfall, Mia said. But to finish it, we need the marriage contract's original version, the one before he edited it. Avery shook her head weakly. I don't have it. No, Mia said, but your mother might have kept a copy. And Jonas is already searching her old archive room. I know. A spark of hope flickered inside Avery, but it was fleeting. The ambulance slowed as they neared the hospital. Dr. Rhodes prepared equipment urgently. Then Mia's phone buzzed again. Jonas. She answered on speaker. His voice was breathless. I found it, the original contract, untampered. No guardianship clause. Avery sobbed in relief, but Jonas continued. Avery. The door to your mother's archive was broken open when I got here. Someone else was searching too. Mia stiffened. Who? Jonas took a shaky breath. Avery. They left a message on the floor. Written in marker. He paused. It says, if you take what's mine, I take what's yours. Avery's heart stopped. Because at that exact moment, the ambulance screeched to a halt, blocked by a black SUV with Ellington plates. The ambulance screeched so violently that Avery slid sideways on the stretcher. Dr. Rhodes grabbed the railing with one hand and Avery's arm with the other, voice sharp and urgent. Everyone stay still, don't move her. Through the back window, flashing red lights illuminated the black SUV blocking their path. Its hazard lights blinked ominously, casting the street in pulses of red and shadow. An ice-cold dread crept through Avery's veins. Mia peered out the window. Those plates? That's Ellington's executive fleet. Avery's breath hitched. He followed us. No, Dr. Rhodes corrected quietly. He waited for us. Before they could react, two men emerged from the SUV broad-shouldered, dressed in dark coats. The kind of men who operated in Marcus's shadow, unseen but always loyal. One approached the ambulance driver, flashing a badge Avery didn't recognize. The second man circled to the back doors. A heavy knock rattled the metal. Open up, he commanded. We have a court order to transfer the patient. Mia's eyes widened. Court order? At midnight? That's impossible. The man slid a folded document under the door crack. Judge Peretti signed an emergency guardianship review. We are authorized to relocate Miss Caldwell to a private facility for psychiatric stabilization. Avery's stomach dropped. The clause. The stolen clause. Marcus must have presented the edited contract, the one claiming she could be declared incompetent, and twisted it into a midnight petition. He forged the amendment, Mia whispered. He forged everything. Dr. Rhodes was already shaking her head. This is illegal. This is an attempt to abduct a patient under medical distress. The man outside growled. If you do not comply, we are authorized to breach. Avery clutched Amelia's sleeve, fear roaring through her. If they take me, they'll take the babies. He'll force procedures, DNA tests, he'll claim guardianship. Dr. Rhodes squeezed her hand fiercely. Over my dead body. Thanks for watching. Inside the cramped ambulance, sirens blared uselessly, their path blocked, their patient trapped. The driver yelled, NYPD backup is 10 minutes out. 10 minutes is too long, Mia whispered. Jonas crackled through the overhead radio again, breathless and frantic. Avery, listen. I'm close. I'm coming to you. No, Avery cried. Marcus has people. Jonas, you can't walk into. But the radio sputtered as if someone jammed the signal. Outside, the man's voice hardened. Last warning. Open the door, or we breach and seize the patient by force. Avery's contractions intensified, sharp and rhythmic, ripping through her with merciless timing. Tears blurred her vision. She pressed a trembling hand to her abdomen. Hold on, babies, she whispered. Please, hold on. Mia whispered. We need to stall. Just stall until the police arrive. Dr. Rhodes stood, positioning herself between Avery and the doors. We will not release this patient. She is in active labor. Any forced movement will endanger 6 lives. There was silence for a beat. Then metal groaned. The men outside were forcing the back latch. Mia grabbed a medical tray, ready to use anything as a weapon. The driver yelled they were breaching. Avery could barely breathe. Then, tires screeched. A dark sedan swung into the intersection, cutting in front of the SUV and blocking its exit route. Doors flew open. Figures rushed out, not Marcus's men. Different, faster, determined. A familiar voice shouted, "Step away from that ambulance now." Avery's fading vision sharpened just enough to recognize him. Jonas. But he wasn't alone. Behind him were 2 federal auditors, the ones assigned to the emergency audit she initiated. Armed with warrants. Armed with authority. Armed with the power to end Marcus's scheme. Then the ambulance doors burst open. And Avery realized Jonas wasn't there to negotiate. He was there to take Marcus's entire empire down tonight. The back doors of the ambulance flew open, cold air slicing into the cramped space. Avery gasped as light flooded over her, blinding at first, then shapes sharpened into view. Jonas stood at the threshold, chest heaving from the sprint, rain dripping from his coat. Flanking him were 2 federal auditors, armed with legal authority and the kind of icy confidence Marcus had never anticipated. "Step away from the vehicle," one auditor barked at the Ellington enforcers. "You are interfering with a federal investigation." The 2 men hesitated. We have a court order. That order, the auditor snapped, brandishing a folder with an embossed seal, has been invalidated due to fraudulent documentation and active financial misconduct under emergency audit statutes. You are now obstructing federal officers. The Ellington men froze. One instinctively reached for his phone. Bad idea. The auditor seized his wrist, twisting it behind his back. Don't make this worse. Jonas climbed into the ambulance without waiting for permission. He knelt beside Avery, eyes searching her face. Avery? Can you hear me? She nodded weakly, gripping the stretcher rails as another contraction racked her. You found the auditors. They found me, Jonas corrected. The audit you triggered set off every alarm in Ellington Dynamics. It flagged irregularities so severe that the federal team was already en route to investigate Marcus's executive offices. When they heard what he tried to do to you, they came here first. Avery felt tears spill down her cheeks, not from pain this time, but from relief so powerful it almost fractured her. Jonas, thank you. Mia leaned over his shoulder. Avery, the SUV's men are backing off. NYPD is 2 minutes out. You're safe for now. Safe. A word that felt foreign. Doctor. Rhodes checked the monitors, her voice tight. We're losing time. She's dilating too quickly. We need to get her to the hospital now. Jonas turned to the auditors. Clear the road, block off the SUV, escort the ambulance all the way to Mount Sinai. Already done, one auditor replied, speaking into his radio. Units are in position. The ambulance doors slammed shut again. The engine roared to life as the vehicle sped forward. Avery's head fell back against the pillow, body trembling. Jonas remained beside her, holding the stretcher rail as the ambulance swayed. His voice softened. We're going to stop Marcus, Avery. He won't touch your legacy. He won't touch your children. Avery swallowed hard. Jonas, he has my mother's notebook. I know, Jonas said quietly, but that isn't the only copy. Avery blinked through tears. What? Your mother backed up everything, Jonas said. Encrypted files, off-site drives. The archive wasn't just papers, it was a decoy. Tonight, when I went looking for the original contract, I found a secondary vault. Marcus stole a symbol, not the substance. Avery closed her eyes, relief washing over her. Her mother had protected her even in death. But the contractions intensified, sharp and relentless. Amelia leaned close. Avery, listen to me. We're almost there. Hold on, just a little longer. The ambulance made a hard turn. Sirens wailed through the night as buildings streaked past the windows in blurs of yellow and white. Jonas brushed a strand of hair from Avery's face. I'm not leaving you. You're not facing this alone. Avery tried to speak, but pain made her voice a thin gasp. Jonas, if something happens to me, nothing will happen to you, he said fiercely. Nothing. Then Mia's phone buzzed again. She answered, and her face drained of color. Jonas, Avery, you need to hear this. 18. Static crackled on the speaker, followed by a panicked voice from hospital security. Ellington's operative breached the NICU. He's searching for patient records. We can't hold him much longer. Avery's blood ran cold. Because her babies weren't even born yet, and someone was already hunting them. By the time the ambulance reached Mount Sinai, Avery was barely conscious. Pain surged in unforgiving waves, her vision fragmented by flashes of white light. The stretcher rattled as paramedics rushed her through the sliding doors, Dr. Rhodes shouting orders. Prep the oar, we may need an emergency C-section move. But Avery heard none of it clearly. All she could think about were the 5 lives inside her and the chilling message Mia had received. Someone was inside the NICU, someone searching for medical files that could expose everything. Jonas jogged beside the stretcher, face taut with worry. Avery, listen, I'm going to the NICU. I'll stop him. She reached for his hand, gripping his sleeve. Jonas, be careful, please. His eyes softened, warm but burning with purpose. I'm not letting him near your children. I swear it. He released her only when doctors pulled her into the emergency wing. Meanwhile, Mia sprinted toward the administration elevators, phone pressed to her ear. Yes, initiate the audit extension. And push it to the board. They need to see Marcus's fraud before he can spin this. She froze at the sight of a cluster of Caldwell Biotech board members gathered in the waiting room. Their faces were mixed confusion, concern, suspicion, and on the wall-mounted TV, a breaking news banner scrolled. Emergency board vote set to proceed tonight. Marcus Ellington claims Avery Caldwell, unfit to lead. Mia whispered, horrified. They moved the vote up. He created off. One power. A tall woman in a navy suit, board chair Evelyn Grant stepped toward her. Miss Turner, where is Avery? We've received troubling information. Mia didn't hesitate. The troubling information is coming from a man under federal audit. Marcus falsified medical concerns to trigger a guardianship petition. He's manipulating all of you. Murmurs rippled through the group. Evelyn folded her arms. Do you have proof? Mia opened her tablet. Yes. Financial discrepancies, coercion attempts, falsified narratives, and a forged contract amendment to seize Avery's assets. The board members exchanged stunned looks. Evelyn's voice wavered. Then where is Avery? Why isn't she here defending herself? Mia's throat tightened. Because she's in emergency labor. A collective gasp followed. She's pregnant? A board member whispered. With quintuplets, Mia said, jaw clenched. And Marcus's operative is actively trying to steal her medical files as we speak. Silence crashed over the room. This wasn't a scandal anymore. It was an attack. Before anyone could respond, Jonas appeared at the far end of the hall, breathless, furious. A cut bled down his cheek, his shirt rumpled as if he'd wrestled someone. But in his hand he held a lanyard badge, Ellington branded. Evelyn's eyes widened. Jonas, what happened? He tossed the badge onto the table. Halden tried to access the NICU. He fought. Security has him detained downstairs. The board erupted with angry whispers. Jonas looked at them with fire in his voice. Marcus sent him. Marcus is trying to seize Avery's children and her company before dawn. Mia added, and we have evidence he committed federal fraud to do it. Evelyn inhaled sharply, her decision forming in real time. Jonas, Mia, present everything you have. If what you're saying is true, Marcus will be removed before the night is over. Jonas nodded. Then get every board member into the conference room. Now. But before they could move, a doctor burst through the double doors, pale and breathless. Where's Jonas Mercer? She asked urgently. Jonas stepped forward. Here. The doctor swallowed hard. It's Avery. Her blood pressure is crashing. The babies are in distress. She's asking for you. Jonas felt the ground shift beneath him. Evelyn placed a gentle but firm hand on his arm. Go. We'll handle the board. She needs you. He didn't wait another second. He sprinted toward the operating wing. Because Avery wasn't just fighting for her company anymore. She was fighting to stay alive long enough to meet her children. Jonas sprinted down the white corridor, the soles of his shoes slapping against the tile. Hospital lights streaked above him like desperate stars, pulling him toward the woman fighting for her life. Every step felt like a race against fate, a fate Marcus had crafted with cold precision. He burst into the operating wing, where a team of nurses rushed around a prep bay. Avery lay on the gurney, pale, trembling, oxygen mask pressed to her face. Her eyes fluttered open when she heard Jonas's voice. Jonas. Her whisper was a thread unraveling. He moved to her side instantly, taking her hand. I'm here. I'm right here. Dr. Rhodes appeared, masked and focused. Her blood pressure is dropping dangerously. We've tried stabilizing medications, but stress is accelerating the progression. The babies need out now. Avery gasped as another contraction tore through her. Jonas tightened his grip on her hand, anchoring her. Avery, listen to me. You're not alone. You're safe. Marcus can't reach you here. Her eyes glistened. He wants everything. My company, my children. Then he'll lose everything tonight, Jonas said fiercely. Mia and the board have the evidence. The auditors have enough to bury him. You just have to focus on breathing. Focus on surviving. A nurse wheeled equipment to the side of the gurney. Monitors beeped in a frantic rhythm. Avery winced, her nails digging into Jonas's palm. Promise me. Promise you won't let him near them. I swear on my life, Jonas said, his voice thick. Avery, I'll protect them. I'll protect you, always. Her lips trembled. For a moment, the fear in her eyes softened. She whispered, Don't let me die. Jonas felt his chest crack open. You're not dying. You are not leaving those children. I won't let you go. Dr. Rhodes laid a gentle but firm hand on Jonas's shoulder. We need to take her in. Avery's eyes clung to Jonas's. Say it again. He leaned closer, his voice low and steady. I'm not letting you go. As they wheeled her toward the OR doors, Avery's fingers slipped from his. The doors swung shut behind her, swallowing her into blinding white light. Jonas stood frozen for half a second, fighting the urge to break through those doors and rip the world apart to keep her safe. Then he turned, jaw clenched, storming toward the observation suite. But before he reached it, Mia came running from the elevators, breathless and clutching her tablet. Jonas! The board saw everything. They reviewed the forged amendment. They know Marcus lied about her mental state. End quote. Jonas exhaled sharply. Good. Then vote him out. It's happening, Mia said. But there's more. Marcus is on his way here. He escaped security at the plaza. He's coming to the hospital. Jonas's blood ran cold. He can't get near Avery. He's not headed toward her, Mia said, voice shaking. He's heading toward the NICU. Jonas didn't think. He ran. Every hallway blurred past him. Every terrified breath pushed him faster. Marcus Ellington, cornered and exposed, was unpredictable, and that made him more dangerous than ever. He reached the NICU corridor just as a nurse shrieked. A doorway slammed open. Marcus stood inside the neonatal unit, rage twisting his features, rifling through infant charts with frantic, trembling hands. "Where are they?" he bellowed. "She won't take them from me. She won't." Jonas lunged forward. "Marcus, step away from those charts." Marcus spun around, eyes wild, unhinged. "They're mine, Jonas. All of it. The company, the babies, her legacy. Mine." Jonas stepped into the room, fists clenched. "Not anymore." Marcus grabbed a tray of metal instruments and hurled it aside. Then he took a step toward the row of incubators. And Jonas understood this wasn't about custody anymore. Marcus was willing to do something far worse. The metallic clang of the fallen instrument tray echoed through the NICU like a scream. Nurses ducked behind counters, shielding fragile incubators. Machines beeped wildly, responding to the sudden disruption. Jonas stepped forward slowly, both palms raised, trying to keep Marcus from doing something irreversible. "Marcus," he said, voice low, measured, "this isn't the place. Walk away now." But Marcus's chest heaved like a cornered predator. His eyes were bloodshot, his tie askew, the polished CEO facade gone. Stripped bare, he looked dangerous, not powerful, but desperate, unraveling from the inside. "They're mine," Marcus hissed. "She lied. She hid them from me. She thought she could steal my legacy, my heirs." Jonas clenched his jaw. "Your legacy? Avery almost died tonight. You nearly killed her with the stress you caused." Marcus laughed, a hollow, cracked sound. "She's weak. Always has been. That's why I needed Briar. She's strong, loyal." Jonas stepped closer. "Briar fled the hospital 10 minutes ago. She left you. She's cooperating with the auditors. She gave up your entire operation." The words hit Marcus like a punch. His breath hitched. "You're lying." "No," Jonas said calmly. "Her statement is signed. She admitted everything: your forged amendment, your threats, your plan to seize custody by declaring Avery incompetent." Marcus staggered back a step, fury overtaken by shock. Then rage returned, sharper, more dangerous. "She was nothing without me," he growled. "They're all nothing without me." Jonas inched forward. He saw movement in Marcus's hand, something shiny he'd grabbed from the thrown tray. A scalpel. Jonas's pulse spiked. "Marcus, put it down. This is a NICU. There are premature babies in here. You take one more step, and it's over for you, not them." Marcus's gaze flicked toward the incubators again. His grip tightened. Jonas felt something inside him snap. "You don't get to harm them because you lost control of your life. Because your lies caught up with you. Because Avery found the strength to leave you." Marcus's eyes widened. "She needed me." "No," Jonas said, voice hardening. "You needed her silence." A nurse whimpered, as Marcus stepped dangerously close to the nearest incubator. Jonas lunged, blocking the path, planting his feet between Marcus and the row of fragile lives. "Move," Marcus snarled. "No. Today as no." Marcus raised the scalpel. But Jonas grabbed his wrist midair, twisting sharply. The blade clattered to the floor. Marcus shouted in rage, swinging wildly, tackling Jonas backward. The two men slammed into a rolling cart, sending sterile wipes and monitors crashing. Jonas struggled to restrain him. Marcus fought like a man possessed, claws and teeth in desperation. But Jonas was fueled by something stronger. Protectiveness. Faith. A promise he'd made to Avery. With a surge of strength, Jonas pinned Marcus face down against the floor, twisting his arm behind him just as NYPD officers stormed the hallway. "Hands where we can see them," an officer shouted. Jonas released Marcus and stepped back, chest heaving. Officers moved in, securing Marcus in handcuffs as he screamed. "You think she'll survive this? You think those babies will? She can't even keep herself alive." Jonas's fists curled, but he didn't move. He didn't need to. Two federal auditors appeared behind the police, holding folders thick with evidence. One spoke coldly. "Marcus Ellington, you are under arrest for fraud, attempted abduction, tampering with federal documents, and endangerment of minors." Marcus went still, finally understanding that the empire he built on lies had collapsed. But while the officers dragged him away, Jonas turned toward the hallway where Avery had been taken. The NICU lights reflected off the polished floor, stretching into a long, fearful path. Mia appeared, breathless and pale. "Jonas, they're taking Avery into surgery. It's bad." Jonas didn't wait to hear more. He ran. Because while Marcus had lost his empire, Avery was losing blood and possibly her life. The surgical wing smelled of antiseptic and fear. Jonas reached it breathless, chest burning, but he pushed through the doors as if sheer will could hold the universe together. Nurses rushed around him, their shoes whispering across the polished floor. He saw Dr. Rhodes through a pane of glass, gloved, masked, eyes fierce with focus as she worked to stabilize Avery. Mia appeared beside him, trembling. They're doing everything they can. The babies are in distress, but they're still alive. Jonas leaned his forehead against the cold window. Come on, Avery. Don't leave them. Don't leave me. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Monitors beeped. The surgical lights glowed harsh white. He could almost feel her pain vibrating through the glass. A nurse hurried out to adjust something, and Jonas reached her. How is she? He asked, voice raw. She's losing blood, the nurse said. But Dr. Rhodes is fighting for her. Mia wrapped her arms around herself. Jonas, after everything she's survived, she deserves to meet her children. She deserves peace. Jonas swallowed hard. She deserves a life she wasn't afraid to live. And in for Typer. Inside the OR, another contraction seized Avery. Her consciousness flickered, drifting toward darkness. But then she felt something warm. A memory. Her mother's voice. Avery, sweetheart, strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet promise you make to yourself. Avery fought to hold on to that voice. A surgeon's voice echoed faintly. Blood pressure stabilizing, keep going. Avery clung to a single image. 5 tiny heartbeats, waiting for her. She forced herself back toward consciousness, whispering one word, please. Moments later, the longest moments of Jonas's life, the OR doors swung open. Dr. Rhodes stepped out, removing her mask. Her eyes were red but shining. She made it, Amelia said softly. Avery is stable, and all 5 babies, they're small, but they're alive. Jonas exhaled so sharply his knees almost buckled. Mia covered her mouth with a shaky sob. Can I see her? Jonas asked. Amelia nodded. One at a time. She's weak, but awake. Jonas entered quietly. Avery lay pale against the pillows, but her eyes fluttered open when she heard him. He crossed to her, taking her hand. You scared me, he said, voice thick. She offered a faint smile. I scared myself. You saved them, he whispered. You saved everything. A tear slipped from her eye. Jonas, thank you. For fighting when I couldn't. He squeezed her hand. I'm not done fighting. Marcus is already in custody. The board voted unanimously. You are the official CEO of Caldwell Biotech. Avery gasped softly. Unanimous? Your mother would be proud, he said. But Avery shook her head weakly. There's something else I want. Jonas leaned in. Anything. She took a small breath. I don't want to raise 5 children alone. Not in fear, not in hiding. I want a family, a real one. Jonas's expression softened into something raw, unguarded. Avery, you already have one. I'm here, if you'll have me. Her eyes glimmered. I do. If actually Brasto. Just then, a nurse peeked in. Miss Caldwell? Would you like to meet your children? Avery's breath caught. Jonas helped her sit up gently. 5 incubators were wheeled in 5 tiny miracles. Avery reached a trembling finger toward the smallest. Hello, little one, she whispered, voice breaking. Mommy's here. Jonas stood behind her, hands on her shoulders, grounding her. In that moment, the world felt whole again. Avery realized she hadn't just survived the war, she had finally stepped into the life she was meant to live. Morning sunlight filtered through the blinds of Avery's recovery suite. Soft and warm, the first gentle light she had seen in what felt like a lifetime. The hospital no longer smelled like fear or urgency. It smelled like quiet beginnings. Like hope. She lay propped up in bed, her strength slowly returning. A soft hum of incubators filled the background, not with panic now, but with promise. 5 tiny bundles slept safely in the neonatal wing, each monitored around the clock. Each one fighting, growing, breathing. Alive. Avery touched her abdomen, now flat but tender, and whispered, We made it. The door opened softly. Jonas stepped inside, carrying a small bouquet, not extravagant, just white peonies, simple and calming. They said you're strong enough for visitors, he said with a smile that reached his eyes. Avery smiled back, weak but genuine. I'm stronger than I felt yesterday. You terrify me, Jonas admitted with a laugh, but in the best way. He sat on the edge of her bed, gently taking her hand. Avery studied his face, tired, bruised, scraped from the fight in the NICU but steady, solid. A man who didn't flinch when the world turned dark. Jonas, she began, but he shook his head. No. Let me go first. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small folder. Marcus has been denied bail. Federal charges are piling up. The guardianship petition was dismissed as fraudulent. And the board finalized the vote. You're not just CEO, you're the majority shareholder, effective immediately. Avery's breath hitched. Majority? Yes. His voice softened. Your mother arranged it years ago. The moment you became a parent, the shares transferred entirely to you. Marcus never knew. And Espo. Tears welled in Avery's eyes. She protected me. Even from him. Jonas brushed a thumb across her cheek. And now you get to build the future she always saw in you. A gentle knock interrupted them. A nurse wheeled in a rolling crib with one tiny baby inside the strongest of the five, small but alert, swaddled in light blue. "Miss Caldwell," the nurse said softly, "someone wants to meet you." Avery's breath trembled as she lifted her child into her arms. The baby's eyes fluttered open, dark, curious, impossibly small. She kissed his forehead, feeling warmth flood her chest. "Hi, sweetheart," she whispered. "You're perfect." Jonas watched, awe softening every line of his face. "Avery, you're already a natural." She laughed quietly, more like terrified. "Good parents always are," he said. She looked up at him, emotion rising like a tide. "Jonas, stay, not just today, not just until the chaos settles. Stay with us." His eyes widened. "Are you sure?" Avery nodded, tears shimmering. "I want my children to grow up with someone who fights for them. Who fights for me. Someone who loves without conditions." Jonas's voice broke. "Avery, I already do." She leaned her forehead against his. "Then don't leave." He kissed her gently, slow, reverent, filled with every vow words could never hold. A baby's soft whimper broke the moment. Avery cradled her son closer. Jonas whispered, "You know, we still need to name all five. 2. If Empress," she smiled through her tears. "Then let's do it together." As they leaned over the tiny crib, sunlight warmed the room like a blessing, like a promise. Because for the first time, Avery wasn't surviving her life, she was finally living it. "All right, my wonderful friends, if you're still here with me at this very moment, it means something in Avery's journey touched a part of your own heart. Maybe her strength reminded you of your own. Maybe her pain echoed something you've lived through. Or maybe, just maybe, her healing made you believe that yours is possible too. You know, Marcus Aurelius once wrote, 'The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way.'" Avery's entire life embodied that truth. Every betrayal, every loss, every terrifying moment became the very path that led her to her children, her freedom, her new beginning. And that's a lesson for all of us. We are not defined by what breaks us, but by how we rise after it. So as this story closes, let me speak directly to you. Whatever storm you're facing, whatever fear you haven't said out loud, you're stronger than you think. Healing isn't loud. It isn't glamorous. Sometimes it's just choosing to keep going one more day, and that is enough. If Avery's journey gave you even a little courage, a little warmth, a little reminder of your own worth, then don't leave quietly. Give this video a like, share it with someone who needs strength tonight, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story we walk through together. You belong here. You matter. And your healing is already on its way.